Well, welcome back. Welcome back to Actually Aubrey, and Alex W. Leath and I are in the house.
Yeah. What's going on, everybody?
Hey, guys. At least whoever is not out there watching those playoffs, don't turn the playoffs. Watch us instead.
Whoa, wow. Yeah, we got some stiff competition with them playoffs on.
Yeah. Something
Woo.
stiff. Yeah, the competition. Right. Yep.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that. Okay. We're here to address this very difficult question.
Right.
We're here to
What is
address this
love?
very
What is love? What is healthy love? I didn't fit it all on the thumbnail. I did fit it on the thumbnail, but not on the picture. But it's what is healthy love and what is not. Hey there, Monique King. She is so wonderful. Our moderator, Monique King, one of our many moderators, but she's always here and always supporting. And we love you, Monique, don't we, Alex?
Yes, we do. What's up, Monique? Thank you for being in the house with us.
In the house with us. I guess she's watching the game and watching us. So she can multitask.
Yeah, she on double duty.
She on double duty. So what is this thing called love, Alex? What do you think it is?
Well, it's to the point now where it has become so generic, and it all depends on the individual, because different people have different things that are important to them that they consider love, right? So
Right.
you have some people they consider, being financially, secure, money, being financially secure and having money as love, being a great father or mother, a great spouse, that's love. Spending a lot of time, people got different love languages and things like that. So it's almost an individual thing, and love itself today, by today's standards, is almost a generic term. Because when you compare that to, and I did a podcast many years ago, what's more important, like or love, and I come to the conclusion then, and I come to the conclusion now, that it's more important to like a person than to love them. You do more for a person that you actually really sincerely like than you do with the love. The love is so fragile, and we don't really know what it means. Many times we know we feel something passionate in our heart, in our gut, for somebody, but it's hard to really define that unless someone in the chat can give their definition of it. But I think it's more important for me, when you sincerely like somebody, that means you want to be near them. That means you want their friendship. That means you go above and beyond because you sincerely like who you're with. And that's just how I see it.
Well, I'm going to read you something. Hold on one second. I'm going to read you something, but I'm trying to get my little.
Hey, Ellen. What's up, Ellen?
Words. Right. That's what I was doing. Get that up there. I'm going to read something. Oh, I'm going to try to read it. Okay, because it's on my cell phone and it's real tiny. This is what my father says about what love is. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. It does not delight in evil, but it rejoices with the truth. Love always protects. Love always trusts. Love always hopes. And love always perseveres and never fails. That's what my father says about love.
Well, it's great. It sounds great. But I think the great majority of human beings, some are, but the great majority are not capable of that kind of love. Because I think what your father is describing is the agape love that the Bible speaks of.
Well, that's actually paraphrased from the Bible. Exactly. Right. Okay, that's from the word.
That's that agape love, which means, I love you without condition, just for the sake of loving you. And I think too many one human frailty is we love with conditions. I mean, you take a child, okay? Now, a child needs us for everything. 2-year-old child, 1-year-old child, they need us for everything. So we say to ourselves, man, my child really loves me because they need you, okay? But once they start to talk and move around and they start to understand birthdays and Christmas and different things like that, then it slowly starts to become conditional. Because what do kids do? Oh, can I have that toy? And you go, nah, I don't know if I'm gonna get that today. Oh, please, please, I love you forever. That's a condition. Okay. And
Right.
we learn that as we go through this life to love with conditions. And we sort of lose, the aspect of the agape love that the Bible speaks of.
I think you're bringing up a very interesting point, but I see a couple of things with that. So, okay, so like I said, I started off reading what love is, and that's from my father. Okay, so my heavenly father. I feel like as a believer, there is no love without God. There is no love without God. God created love, He created us. So now when you talk about, and it's a very true point, you bring up a very valuable and true point when you say that on this earth, for most of us as human beings, for most of us, maybe practically even all of us, love comes with conditions. But that is the human condition on this earth. And it makes sense that, for example, when I had a spouse that was abusive, right? It makes sense that the love that I have for that person no longer existed after a point in time, right?
Right.
Because if the condition that I love you means that you can batter me, speak to me, verbally abuse me in a number of different ways, then no, I don't love you any longer. I don't love you in that romantic sense. Now, my faith teaches me to love all mankind, but that does not mean that they are healthy enough. That does not mean that every person that I come across is healthy enough to share an intimate space with me. So that's kind of how I view love from that trajectory. And yes, you're right. For the most part, there are going to be conditions to love because no one really wants to be in a relationship that's unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to be in
Yeah, I
when we
mean,
when we think about put a ring on it, you see 3 very unhealthy toxic relationships. Am I correct?
correct. Very
Okay,
much
go
so.
go ahead. I'm gonna let you out and I'm gonna sip my coffee. Go ahead.
Yeah, you sipping your what happened to the tea? You supposed to be dropping tea. You sipping coffee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't tell my physician what I said. Okay, yeah, my tea. Yeah, wink, wink.
Yeah. Wink, wink.
It's
Yeah.
hard
So
to get off this stuff. I'm addicted.
yeah. Me too. I'm just joking with you because I'm the same way. But this see the love thing. Also, the love is very fleeting. It's a fleeting thing because make no mistake about it. When you're in a new relationship and your heart gets involved and you get these butterflies and all that kind of stuff, do you become intimate, whatever. Sex can give one good sex or great sex can give one the impression that they're in love. Okay, it confuses things tremendously because
Well, I
now
would say, yeah, it confuses things. I think
because
the person is very immature though, that's confused by a physical feeling due to sex. That's what I would say.
there's a spiritual connection there. That's why a lot of people get caught up and they call it a soul tie because
I
you're in,
understand that.
you're inserting yourself into another person's body and you're connecting in a way where others may have, but very few hopefully have connected in such a way, especially if you got great chemistry with that person. Okay, so
Okay.
the energies and everything kind of get absorbed into you and them. This is a spiritual thing. So you get excited, you become elated, you're walking on a cloud, you're doing this. But again, like I always say, real life will intervene. And when real life come in to intervene, that's where the love gets tested. And that's where most people, not all, but most people fail the test. Because biblically, you cannot have a testimony without a test. Okay, you have to have a test in order to have a testimony. Oh, this is how we got through it. This how we survived that thing together. And most people crumble because now the high is over. It's like using a drug. Okay, you're on this drug and you loving this high and this and that, and then after a while, the dosage that you was taking not working anymore the same, or you need a different drug to get the high you originally experienced. So you constantly chasing and chasing and chasing, so that the love is very fleeting. It's very fleeting. And
I
it's just
think,
it's a human frailty, Aubrey.
well, again, you and I have different ideas about love, and this is what I think. So I think that when you say love is fleeting, again, I think there's some concepts that we have about love. We have to really examine them and really begin to think, like, so we have systems in our life, right? We have all kinds of systems, from political systems, we have world systems, but we also have to think about what systems and what beliefs do we have in our life, and are they working for us? Okay, so here's the thing. So love is not fleeting. Love is an action. Love is a choice, and it's not fleeting. Love can last a lifetime, but love takes effort. That's the thing that I believe. Love takes effort. Even loving our children, you and I can both attest as parents to multiple adult people, that takes work. Those relationships with our children, even though they're part of our DNA, they're part of our very being. And when they're little, you love them unconditionally, and as they get older and become adults, there will be trials and tribulations, even with your own children. Love is an effort, it's a commitment. But when people talk about love, see, all of us kind of grew up, at least I think most of us in this country grew up with this fantasy of, like, I know when I was a little kid, what was it, the fairy tales that we used to hear about, the sleeping princess, and the
Sleeping
prince came
Beauty.
and kicked her and woke her up. We all heard these fairy tales. So we have to separate the fairy tales of life that we grew up with as little children and the movie fantasy, and look at reality. Love is a choice. And I don't believe when people say this thing about falling in love, that's bullcrap. You do not fall in love. You fall in lust. You fall in lust. But if you love someone and you decide that this is the person I'm going to be with, you make a commitment. Love is a choice and a commitment.
Right. And why aren't these commitments lasting today as they once did? The divorce rate is over 50%, mid 50s, almost 60%. So
we're going to explore in this show what is love. We're going to explore the divorce in another episode.
That has a lot to do with it, because people really don't understand what love is. And then you talk about these love languages. Some people have a love language. They like gift giving, for instance. Okay. So you love me as long as I'm giving you gifts, and when the gifts stop, then what? Or you like physical touch or whatever. And when the physical touch slows down, what, the love starts to go away? There may be reasons for the physical touch slowing down. There may be reasons for the gift giving to slow down.
Okay, so then if those are the cases, and I'm just going to using your example, okay, those are good examples too, because those things do happen. So when those things that the other person likes, Alex, when they slow down, what do you think would be a helpful response from the other partner?
A healthy response would be one that's very communicative, and the other spouse,
communication,
and the other spouse has to be willing to listen and adhere to what the other spouse is saying. Okay, because there's always reasons. Okay, we may not want to accept them.
Hold on a second. Okay, Glow Care that's on the screen. If you would stop spamming the chat every few seconds, because otherwise I'm gonna have to just block you. Ellen or Monique, if you guys are here, would you keep an eye on this Glow Care? I mean, I don't understand if you maybe don't speak our language. You are speaking in English though. You said hello, host, how are you? Okay, after that, can you kind of wait a while and then put something different in the chat, or else I'm going to think you're a bot or somebody evil come to take my channel down. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Alex.
No, you was rebutting The
Oh
love
yeah, yeah.
language
I
thing.
was asking, what did you think was a good thing to happen, and you gave part of what the answer was I was looking for. You were saying about being communicative and communicating. So,
Right.
like for example, as a woman, if I'm not in the mood, so let's say I'm with a partner, I'm married, we're happily married, but and we normally on average maybe make love a couple 2-3 times a week, whatever, 4 or 5 times, I don't know, but say some things are going on at my job, and I'm dealing with also the kids in college, and they're getting poor grades, and they're about to be put out, and these things are bugging me and bothering me, and I'm just really struggling, and I really don't feel like making love with my husband right now this week and the week following and the next week. I have to be mature enough now, because I know he has expectations. I know what we've been doing. We've been making great love. We've been sharing our bodies and fulfilling each other, in that way, in that manner. It would behoove me, right, to reach out to my husband, my honey, and say, "Hey, babe, sit him down and kind of talk to him about what's going on. And these are the reasons. I'm just not really feeling I don't know, but just my sex drive is just not, where it normally is. I'm just not feeling really romantic right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And have that conversation, because the average person, even in a good relationship, after a while, maybe the second week, the third week, the fourth week, a month, 2 months, I think a partner is going to start to wonder, if you're used to having, sexual relations X amount of times a week or X amount of times a month, right? And now we're into the second month and there's no love making. I think people are going to wonder. When
Right.
you say?
That's a normal human response.
Exactly.
What's going on? Are you no longer attracted to me? Do you no longer desire me? Is there someone
Yes.
is there someone else?
Right. And yet, and especially those are two very big ones. What you just said, are you still attracted to me? And is there someone else? But even for women, and even sometimes men, are you still attracted to me? Because let's face it, as we age, I'm not the same Aubrey from, 20,
Right.
25, or 30. I'm
Right.
not that same girl. You know what I'm saying?
Our bodies change.
Our bodies change. Our bodies change, and things don't look the same. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You take care of it as best you can, and go
Mhm.
work out and walk around the block 10 times or whatever you do. And hopefully you're keeping up with those things the way you should, but sometimes life gets in the way.
Things don't look the same or work the same. So, things just change because we age. We gotta
Oh, hey Sabrina.
we gotta
Sabrina's
take
in the house. Hey, babe.
hey sis, what's going on, baby? We gotta take supplements and try to drink a lot of water. We do best we can to keep up with things, but
Right.
we're going to age and things are going to change. Okay, so we're
Right.
not going to be on top of each other like rabbits every night like we did maybe 20 years ago or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. But there are
Right.
other prerequisites too. It's not just about intercourse and sex, things like that.
No, no, absolutely not.
Maybe you guys set that in the beginning. Remember in the beginning when you first fall in love, you have 2-3 hour conversations like it's nothing. You're on the phone listening to each other breathe.
Really? You don't say, Alex. You don't
Yeah,
say.
on the phone listening to each other breathe. Yeah, you don't say.
My
You
wicked
don't say.
laugh.
Right, right. The Wicked Witch of Detroit. You know.
Hey, don't come for the D. Don't let me get Key over here. We double team you. Don't play
Oh
with
my
us,
goodness.
Detroit.
So, but everybody defines it different, and is almost per person. What is it to them? And that's why it's hard to find people that you match up with, because everybody has their own definition of love, and what is it going to take to get me, to keep me, to hold me, and
Mm-hmm.
are you worth going through the fight with, going through this fight,
Mm.
this thing called life?
You look on the screen, you see what our viewer and chat family, Edward Smart, says testosterone dips after 40.
It
That
absolutely starts to
that's
dip.
right. That is absolutely right. And I'll
Yep.
be cracking up because guys be on the streets and around, they be talking about on these YouTube streets, talking about, yeah, she getting old. Like the other day on Put a Ring on It, Kenneth said that Shorty was 40. And I'm like, if he's really truly 35, he got about 5 more years, and he gonna see what 40 look like and feel like. He
Right.
gonna be like,
Right.
oh, it ain't the same no more.
This is why these guys popping these Viagra and Cialis and these different things, to try to
Mhm.
keep up. You know,
I always think of this gentleman, this gentleman when I was a young girl, like early 20s, and I was out in the club back in the day, right? And this guy was so handsome. I think I've told you the story before. He was so handsome. He was a good dancer. And back then, I used to like to go to the club just for the dance. I really wasn't much of a drinker, but I loved to dance and be out on the dance floor and have all the eyes on me and whatnot. And so we got out there and we was just cutting the rug. Everybody was looking at us. We made a good looking couple. And as the music turned to the slow dancing, and we got the slow dance, and I was always this woman back when I was a young fast girl. I was always like, trying to size a guy up. So I was like trying to size him up, but I wasn't finding nothing to size, if you follow my drift. And I was like, and so we exchanged numbers, and we ended up, getting together like later in the week, or whatever, the next week. And once again, we started kissing and everything like that. And I'm like, I'm still trying to size him up. Mm-hmm. And so he finally told me, he said, baby, I got to tell you something. I have a problem. Now, this guy was the same age as me. Now, I'm like early 20s. I'm saying maybe 22, 23 years old. This guy says, I have a problem. I said, what do you mean? What's your problem? And he said he had a problem with his nature. I'm trying to think of the best way. I know in my head, I know I've got the word, but I just can't think of it.
Erectile dysfunction.
ED, right? We didn't right back then. You didn't say that, but there's another word though too. But yeah, but that you can call it that today. But there's another word what I think it actually says it better. But that basically states it, right? It says it a little gentler. But right. Yeah, so he was having that issue. And I was like, wow, like that was my first time. A lot of people think that you have to be 40 and, as a man, and you start having those issues. I'm going to tell you something. If you're a heavy drinker, you have high blood pressure, it's untreated, or you're treating it, and your doctor, you haven't spoken to you. Like a lot of men have difficulty talking to their physicians, right? Mm-hmm. I had a friend of mine who was a truck driver, and he told me, he said, as a Black male who has to take high blood pressure medication, you have to talk to your doctor. And if you talk to them and tell them which medication you're taking, the one that you're taking for your blood pressure, you're not able to have relations with your woman or whatever. He says they will change it. And there are certain medications that they can give you, and it will do the same thing. It will, normalize your blood pressure, and you'll still be able to have a romantic relationship. I said, well, listen at that.
Well,
so you gotta know, and you gotta reach out for help. But things can happen with men and with women.
That high blood pressure medication is no joke. Because I know men who are on high blood pressure medication.
So what did I walk into? Yeah, erectile dysfunction. Oh, wait a minute. What's somebody else saying? Yeah, diabetes too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, that'll do it too. But that will do it too. Yeah. According to this high blood pressure medication, it'll shrivel a dude up. Okay, and the guys I know, they always joke about the fact that it'll have you peeing on your scrotum. It'll shrivel you up so bad.
You mean it will literally do something physically to your?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I thought you were just using a figure of speech. No. I have not heard that before.
No, physically it will shrivel it up. You see what I'm saying? So they really got to talk to their doctors and communicate with their doctors regarding this, about the dose. If it's the right kind of high blood pressure medication, like someone said, diabetes will also do it. Once you start to get older and get these ailments, all this medication entering your body affects other things, and you have to have a close relationship with your doctor and be honest with your spouse or your partner about it as well. So that's important. So, but Aubrey, really communication.
That's really what I was just thinking.
It's really at the core of all this. And men and women have a difficult time understanding one another at times, and I would say most of the time. Okay. So I want to read something. I would ask you to afford me a little latitude.
Okay, go ahead, and I'll sip my coffee while my tea. Yeah, go ahead.
This is something I post on Facebook or Instagram periodically, maybe once a year.
Okay, you're not gonna read the whole thing this time around, so we can have something for part 2, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna read half of it, and then give the women in the chat
or a portion. Okay,
yeah, give the women in the chat and the men a chance to respond. But
okay, go ahead.
Women always say what they want from men, right? And I always put this: what women say they want from men and their response when they get it. Okay. So, number one, you hear a lot of women say, I like a take charge kind of guy. But when they get a guy like that, then they say, don't try to control me. Okay. They say, I love a man with a sense of humor. When they get a man with a sense of humor, they say, you play too damn much. You think everything is funny. Okay. You play too much. You think everything is funny. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They say, I want a hardworking man. But then they complain, but you're never home. They say, I want a passionate man who only has eyes for me. And then complain, or you think about his sex. And I'm going to read this last one. I want a kind and gentle man, but then complain he never argues with me. You know, and there are many more I'm going to get into at another time. But those are some of the things that women say they want. And when they get them, they complain about it. And I'll say this too, at the risk of the women getting upset with me.
Oh, Lord.
Men are very simple. And I don't mean simple-minded.
Because you know that's what I was thinking.
I know that's where you're going. I know that's where Sabrina's going. Mm-hmm. So I'm just go.
Sabrina, you want to come up tonight and join us, babe?
We're very. Oh boy, with her big mouth. We're very.
Yeah, I love when she gives little tidbits about you.
Yeah, we're very simple. Okay, we want a good meal, we want good sex, and we want our remote control with the big screen TV. That's basically all we really want. Okay, women want any number of things at any given moment in time, depending on how they feel, and it's hard for men to keep up with that. And I understand internally, you know, things go on, you know, with a woman's body and this and that, and mood change, and you know, the monthly goes on, or she may be menopausing. I mean, it's difficult being a woman, granted, but you have to be able to.
It's not for the faint of heart. That's
not for the faint of heart, you know.
Nope.
And I give y'all that because I was raised by women. Okay, so but you have to be able, despite that, you know, hormones act up, all of that with women. Okay, so I get it, but you still have to be able to communicate effectively with your man to say, I'm feeling this right now. It's not you. Just give me a moment. And enough women don't do that. They just get the attitude, they get the screaming, they get to the rejection, they get to all of this, and the men just don't understand what's happening because we say, I thought this is what you wanted. And now you're angry at me for giving it to you. So what's your response to that?
Woo, that was a lot. I'm just gonna say this. I think that I hear you, and that's true for both sides. I think everything that you read off that list, all you had to do is take the woman part off the front and women and say men. Okay, that's what I think. I think you're just talking about there's a balance to life. So somebody says they want somebody with a sense of humor, but then I think about again, I'm using put a ring. Because, you know, you guys that are here, you know that we cover Put a Ring on It every week, right? And on Put a Ring on It, you got a guy named Alfonso. He laughs at everything when his woman is feeling bad that he's looking at other women or other women are approaching him and he doesn't see any need to introduce his woman to this strange new woman that he's talking to. He laughs at it when she talks about it and she talks about her pain and her hurt. He laughs at it. So it's the same thing. Everything that you read, I mean, I don't have a problem with what you read, but as long as men understand that they do the same things, that's what I say. But what I wanted to kind of go to was as we were talking about communication, right? So I want to give another example of an older man that I dated years ago, not too many years ago, but years ago. Like I think probably. I'm just trying to time this in my life where I was. I think I was probably maybe 40, 39, 40, 41, early 40s, right?
Okay.
And the guy was older. You know, he's just retired from the military, former Marine. So, you know, good shape, nice pension, all these good things or whatever. We went out, I think, on it was either our first or second date. Total gentleman, you know, knows how to open the doors and just does all the things that I expected a gentleman, right? And I think it was about the second date. He begins to tell me some very personal information about his, I guess it was his prostate, right? And I'm listening, and I'm being very mature on the outside, but on the inside, I'm kind of going, well, why is he telling me all of this? Dang it, we just met. You know, I don't really know him that well like that. But as time went on and we got to know each other better, I really began to appreciate that what he was doing was he was setting the bar and setting a standard for our relationship. And he was letting me know that as a man, he was in the midst of going through a very trying time for him, for his manhood in terms of his sexuality, because as he was going through this prostate treatment, he was losing the ability. Once again, we talked about, erectile dysfunction, right? But he was telling me that there was at that time, there was, I guess it was kind of relatively new, was this procedure with the pump that a man can have implanted in down there.
Yep.
And that, he had a brother that actually, when he had, confided in his brother, I mean, his real brother, not, we say brother in our community, sisters and brother, but his actual birth brother, biological brother. And so he was having this procedure done, and how it actually worked. And to make a long story short, it was a very important thing, and it was a very key thing in establishing intimacy, establishing trust, and showing me how, even at like 40, how he taught me another level. He took me up to the next level of my maturity and my maturation, if that makes sense. Because I'd never had a man ever in my life before talk to me in such clear-cut, matter-of-fact ways, and discuss with me and ask me for my opinion in this procedure. Should he get it? What did I like? This, that, and the third. And, really made me a part of that process. And I will say that things actually worked out very well for us for a period of time. We did not end up getting married or anything like that, but to this day, we're still good friends. And that's just a level of maturity that I think when a man brings that level of maturity, or a woman brings that level of maturity to a relationship, see, that's what I'm talking about, love being a choice. He chose to confide in me. He chose that. He made that choice.
Yeah, but and that's true. But that's an individual choice, and you guys were very early in your relationship.
So says she's willing to come up. Let me get the information for her to come up. Go ahead. Let
me see if I can get a word in edgewise before.
No, you won't. Which is my whole point of having her come up. You read half of your thing, so consider yourself lucky.
Get a word in edgewise. But see, he told you early on, right? That's an individual thing. Now, some people, if they don't know if the relationship is going to last or not, will ration out that information slowly over time.
Or not tell me at all.
Or not tell you at all. Right. Yeah. It all depends on the individual. You could tell somebody all your deep, dark, private secrets. Relationship lasts 2 years. Now they know everything about you that they can use against you. And that's when we come back to the trust factor.
Right.
You have to be able to trust a person enough.
I've never been that type of person in my life too. If someone tells me something, like I said the other day on this show, I know a whole bunch of spoilers in some of the shows that we're viewing from talking to some of the participants and castmates, but you know what? I'll go to my grave with it because that's just who I am. My mother taught me that very early in life. If people can't confide in you and trust you with their secrets and things that they want to talk about, you really aren't a good friend.
Yeah, but a lot of people do it. They turn around and use your information against you when things don't work out. That's why a lot of women have to be careful about making these naked videos with men or sending their private parts to men and all this kind of stuff. And
that's silly. That's just silly. I'm sorry. I don't agree with that at all. I think that women and men that do that, that's just silly.
Plenty of women do it.
No, should nobody in a whole bunch of men, because trust me, I've had some people send me some stuff, but that's just silly. Because at the end of the day, this World Wide Web, I used to teach I used to help assist in a Christian youth group, and what I would tell the youth in our groups on every Wednesday is that, you know what, it's called the World Wide Web for a reason. And if you want to keep sending your things out there, don't do that. Don't do that, because unless you're married to that person, I wouldn't do it. That's just me.
Right.
Bree. Okay, Bree is in the stream. Okay.
Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings, dear. How are you? It's been a while. You wouldn't come up for us to do part 2 of our online dating. You just refused to come up.
No, I'm sorry. I've got a lot of stuff going on, so I'm just trying to work on me right now.
All right.
But this conversation is wonderful to hear. for a
Yes.
lot of reasons. One, because it's an important conversation to have, to talk about, to be able to have a forum where you could talk about sexuality, intimacy, between men and women, and how when you get older it changes, it evolves, it starts to look different. The longer you're with somebody, your relationship is not going to stay the same way it
Mm-mm.
was the first month
Nope.
that you entered into it. um I want to piggyback off of something that you just said before I jump into anything else, especially about what Mr. Alex said. um that gentleman that you were talking about, this former Marine,
Mm-hmm.
retired, he was a whole man.
A whole man, and that's
He
what
was
I
a
learned.
he was
I've
a
had,
whole man. And let me
yes,
let me let me
yes.
give you my definition of a whole man.
Okay.
Somebody who can stand on their square and
Yes.
say what it is
Say what it
and let
is,
the chips fall where they may.
where they may. Yep.
That's a whole man. That's an entire man.
Where you gonna
And
That's
we
right.
don't
where you
and
gonna
we
find
and
that at? Where you gonna find that at?
that's
You
what I'm
find that,
trying to say.
especially men that are mature. You find that, and it can be found. And sometimes, look, I was just putting my trash out when he found me. I was putting my trash out or doing something with the trash, or and I had my little short shorts on, so of course that kind of helped back then.
Right, right,
And he was just cruising by because I had been observing him. I was like, I would
right.
see him. He was my neighbor. Let me tell you the story. He was actually my neighbor across the street from me. He was her cousin, but I didn't know
Mhm,
he was her cousin. I thought he was her man, right?
mhm,
Real handsome, tall, dark chocolate guy. And
mhm.
I would see them walking every morning, and I said, "Oh, she got a cute new boyfriend." And this particular day, I was out, and he stopped alongside me and started talking to me. And I was like, "Well, wait a minute, aren't you so and so?" He said, "No, that's my cousin." And I would not talk to him. I went ahead and I talked to him, and then when next time he came around, I made sure that in front of her that we verified that because you know how these men, girl, they'll tell you any
Oh
old thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
oh
that's not.
yeah.
Yeah, go and find that's your cousin. That could
Right,
be his wife. For all I know. But
right.
it was actually her cousin, and they had grown up together. He had moved to California while he was in the Marine Corps, and came back here to Michigan after he retired to buy a home and da 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 da. But yeah, he was a whole man. You're right,
He
and
was he
and that's
was he, he
that's
was
an
an
experience. When
entire
you meet a
man.
whole man, that's a real
Mhm.
experience because you're out here dating males, and see, like a lot of times, men have this thing about calling women females. Um, but what we don't do as women, we don't call men males, but we don't recognize too a lot of times that grown people, grown boys are out here in men's bodies.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There are a lot of representatives
A lot of
walking around
representatives.
here. And to kind of touch on what Alex has said, I want you to understand something, and this is not throwing my brother under the bus. This is
Mm-hmm,
this is actually lifting him up, because what
mm-hmm.
we as Black people with one another, we don't do enough. We do not acknowledge when a person has significantly made positive changes in their life and they're a better person, they're a better version of themselves. Um, Alex, when he was younger, he did not really appear to like women much.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
When
Okay.
I say like women, I don't mean
I
that
know.
he, right. That no, but I'm saying it for the audience because straight
Well,
talk
yeah, go
makes for
ahead. Go
clear
ahead and say it for
understanding.
him because I
Okay.
get it because I know him better
Okay.
than they do. But go ahead.
And I know him better than everybody.
That's
Okay.
right. That's right.
So what I'm saying is that he, when I say he didn't like women, I don't mean that he has homosexual tendencies. That's not
Please
what I
don't.
mean.
Please
I'm
don't.
saying I'm saying
The way
that
he treated
the
women.
way he treated women, if you was a person on the outside looking in, you'd be like, what the hell is happening here? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he has evolved. He has evolved as not just a human
Girl.
being, but he has evolved as a man. And the woman that gets him this time, whoever she may be, she is going to be a blessed woman because he has done a lot of soul searching and he has done a lot of growing. For him to be able to even be on this show talking about the importance of communication, because he didn't communicate. He wasn't
Yeah.
a good he wasn't a good communicator because
Ah,
he
wow,
sat
that's so funny.
because he
Wow.
sat on his feelings, his emotions,
Mm-hmm.
as most people do. And I don't want this to be
Yeah.
gender specific.
No.
I'm saying us all as humans, we are flawed
Oh,
people.
absolutely. Yes.
And it takes an exceptional person to have an ability to look at themselves and say, you know what? I need to do some work because I
Mm.
don't like how my life is looking. I don't like how I'm always ending up in this situation. So let
Yes.
me stop everything right now and do some work. And my
Yes.
brother has done a lot of work. He has
Yes.
Okay.
done
Yeah.
a lot of work. So the woman that gets him, she's going to be a blessed individual. Now,
Yes.
Thank you
that
for that,
I
sis. Thank you
always
very
like
much.
to start something on the positive,
Mhm.
okay? But
Yes.
I have to deal with the elephant in the room,
Yes.
the communication. So there's all types of communication that two people or more can have with one another.
Yes.
We have to be very specific when we say things,
Mm-hmm.
because the words have meaning. It takes on a manifestation and it turns into something, right? Like, I'm gonna
Right.
give you an example. When I met my right 4 days before I met my ex-husband, I got on my knees and I prayed to God. I said, God, send me a gorgeous black man that got his stuff together and blah, 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 blah. But there
Mm-hmm.
was some very specific things that I needed to add on to that prayer. That's why I
Okay.
said he's my ex-husband. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Now to segue back to the communication. You could be communicating with one another, but still not hear what the other is saying because of how
Mm.
the communication is coming across. Even if sometimes you talking with what, like if you're a parent, you know the difference between the inside voice and the outside voice. If
Right.
if you speaking with the inside voice, but you being nasty and
Ooh.
you saying things
Ooh.
to trigger the other person,
Right.
that's not
Intentionally. Intentionally.
exactly, you
Right.
are not effectively communicating. You are not.
Mm.
So when we talk about being communicative, we also have to be very specific about the type of communication that each person needs in order to get most of what they need and some of what they want.
Well, that's
And that's
Mm.
because
and
that's because Sister Bree, that's because there's a big difference between hearing and listening, and most people
Yes.
and most folks don't know the difference.
And see, that's Otis. Otis was saying to his father basically that he heard what his woman said, but what his father was trying to get him to understand was, but are you listening? Because then if you're listening, then what you do with the information that he or she gives you, your significant other, you're supposed to put it in motion. Love
mm,
is an action verb. And if you don't understand that love is an action, it's about actions and it's about a commitment, then you're really not
mhm.
understanding what love is. You're either in lust or you're in infatuation. But I don't feel like a mature person says, I love someone without understanding that love is a choice and a commitment. That's what a mature person does, in my opinion.
Yes, I agree also. I have a saying about love. I'm gonna keep it to myself right now, but here's what I will say
Yes,
about
ma'am.
there was another thing that he mentioned or that you both were talking about that I definitely want to have some
Some dialogue about.
to impart my opinion about. And that is intimacy. Okay? All right.
Now.
When you are in a relationship with someone, you cannot expect that the intimacy level is going to stay the same
Stay the
way
same. Thank you.
from
Thank you.
beginning throughout the years. It's going to change, it's going to twist up. You might learn something new along the way and change up your whole style. Also, people need to understand if you if you having a problem with a person,
Right.
intimacy is the last thing you thinking about. Try
Right.
instead of focusing on the intimacy, focus on what the hell is going on that's causing the tension
Right.
between the both of you. Fix that so that the intimacy can resume and maybe even be better because now you done fixed a couple of things that needed addressing.
But you know what? You know what, Bree? And I've talked, obviously I've talked to a lot of men, talked to a lot of women about various things throughout my life. And one thing has been consistent. I'm talking about either with married men or men who have been in long-term relationships. And these men complain mostly about within the first 1 to 3 years. Okay. The sex is hot. She can't stay off of me. She's all over me every day,
Mm-hmm.
blah, 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 because that's how men sense love. If she wants me all the time, she loves me. Okay.
Right.
So, but over time, then you get into the 4th year, maybe even the tail end of the 3rd year, and where it was 6 days a week, now it's 4 days a week. And you're like, okay, well, 4 days a week, she tired, whatever, life sets in, whatever. But then it becomes once a week, and then twice a month,
Well, especially
and,
if he
and,
ain't helping out with the
and
household.
then
If
once
a
every
dude
2
I
think that
months.
all he
just
got to
But
do is go to work and he don't have to help out with the household, he
but
better
what
rethink
but
that.
here's the thing. Before y'all rebut,
Mm-hmm.
this has almost become a common thing. Now it's not common with everybody, but it's a big problem.
It happens.
And
You say it happens quite a bit, I guess.
happens quite a bit, right?
Okay.
But
Okay.
here's what happens when women do that, right, wrong, or indifferent.
Mm-hmm.
They're opening a can of worms they may not be prepared for, because when a person desires something and they can't get it from the person that says they love them,
oh
they're
my
going to end up
God.
finding it somewhere else.
So
Okay, I gotta say something. I have to,
yeah,
if you
because
don't
say it
mind.
before I say it, because I think we might be on the same wavelength. Let me see what you're gonna say, girl. Go ahead.
Well, here's my thing. If I have to be a hostage
Yeah. To
to
sex.
to sex because I'm scared of losing somebody, then get the hell on.
Thank you.
Because if
And
you
have a
not
nice day. Have a
and
nice day.
have a goddamn nice day.
Thank
Okay?
you. There you go. I didn't
Because
want to say that, but
because
yes.
because here's the thing.
You're not gonna hold me hostage.
You are not going to hold me hostage. That's number one. Number
Mm-hmm.
two, if you think so little of me that it's more important to you what's going on in between my legs than what's going on in my mind, how I'm looking at you crazy because we got problems and they're serious problems that are not being addressed, but you want to put pressure on me to be intimate with you. So I mean, shoot, I should just get you a doll or a little something.
But here's the
be-
thing.
Because
Bree.
you're not placing any importance on me as a person. If I have to be a hostage because I don't want to lose my man, so I gotta,
I don't want him to stray.
so I'm gonna have to hike up and let him do his business. I mean, are we
Ooh,
in
girl, like
color? Are
Steely
we
from the
in the
color
color
purple.
purple?
Yeah,
Are we
that's
in
what
the
I just
color
said. The color
purple?
purple.
Come
No,
on
we
now.
can't. I'm not that woman.
Listen,
Bye.
listen,
That's
listen,
immaturity maturity speaking, Alex. That's
what I'm
immaturity.
saying, and this is what I'm saying, because a lot of women know that becomes an issue in the later part of the relationship. So you have to communicate what's the issue with your guy. Don't just cut the sex off and he has no idea what's going on. Okay, that happens quite often. If you feel like either you're losing your desire or there's issues that need to be addressed and it's affecting your drive, if you're on medication that's affecting your drive, whatever it may be, communicate with your mate, because he may think, and a lot of men think, she just don't want me anymore. Because a lot of women feel like men don't listen anyway, so why tell him? But the
Okay,
fact
so
is,
what happens to the
a lot of
person
men,
when you've told them, when you have constantly told them that I'm not happy, that we have problems, they need to be fixed, and then we can see what's happening. What
well,
happens then?
they either have to hear you or they just selfish and you with the wrong
Okay.
person.
All right.
Well,
Change
those
it.
are things that need to be decided and discovered. And see, that's the thing about dating. I want to just say this. This is my thoughts. And again, I base this on my life experience, but also on a lot of things that I've learned from Janice Hilton, who's also a YouTuber, as most of you know. Dating is for data collection and for learning about that person and
That's right.
deciding if that person fits in with your lifestyle, with your life,
Mhm.
and what you want, and vice versa for that person. If do they see what they need in you? But if you come across a person that's immature, male or female, you're in for a lot of upheaval, because an immature person is an unstable-minded person.
That's
And
right.
you may meet their mature representative while you're dating for a period of time, but that's why you got to dig deep. You got to ask questions. You got to observe. You got to
You got
try
to
to.
see them around their people. You got to see
That's
how
that was the next
their
thing I was
people
about to
gonna
say.
be
You got
receptive
to
to
go.
them.
Right. You got to go around their people. You cannot just have all these random dates at the bowling alley, at the club, blah, 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 blah. Places where you don't even get to have conversations. You got to have conversations. Then you got to, like what Sabrina said, you got to go around their people. If you aren't meeting their family, if you aren't meeting their coworkers, if you aren't meeting their friends to find out what kind of cads are they hanging around. A guy that hangs around a lot of men that are for the streets, guess what? He's for the streets. That's what I say, because birds of a feather. Now, yeah, you got that one random dude that might be a good dude and he hanging around a whole bunch of players. But I would like to understand, well, why are you hanging around a bunch of players if you're the good dude? Because that
Just
usually
like
isn't
the
how that
husbands
goes.
that go to the Dominican Republic for a boys' trip. What kind of shenanigan is that? Who's going on boys' trips to the Dominican Republic when you married?
Well,
Okay.
you know, Bree, men go to Dominican Republic for one reason. So so if you married and your husband tells you Dominican Republic, you know what he's going over there for. Period.
And his stuff gonna be on the stoop when he come home.
And also, we gotta understand women.
Hey, really, by the time he gets to the airport, they're gonna be on the stoop.
Yeah, absolutely.
And women love girls' trips to Jamaica. So they could walk down the beach with Dexter St. Jock, walking up and down.
You know what? I have not been to Jamaica, but I'm gonna tell you something. I'm a woman and I can go to Jamaica, and I know where you're going to with the sex and the men, because they got them all kind of men, and some of these women dumb enough to bring them back to America and get them a green card. But that's a whole nother story, another show for another day. But I can go there and have a good time, wear my swimsuit, whatever, have my drinks, eat my food. Check out the locals, because I love stuff like that. I love different cultures. I love immersing myself in the real culture, not just the vacation, although some places are a little shady in Jamaica. But my point, I'm not going there for sex, because I don't have to go out of the country for sex. It's all the sex I want right here in America. I ain't got to go outside the country.
But
and I'm not
let's be clear about something too. Let's be clear about something too from a very traveled person. I've been to Jamaica, and those Jamaican women, they like American men too. So don't make it seem like American women are going over there to find Dexter St. Jock, because the American men are flying to Jamaica to find, I don't know, I don't know what.
So are you saying it doesn't happen?
I'm saying yes, it does happen, but it also happens that men go over there to sleep with Jamaican women too.
Okay. Well, okay. What I'm saying is this: both do it. They just do it differently. Okay, we're not going to point fingers and say who does it worse. That's like,
you know, but the
that's
thing
like,
about you that always kind of concerns me, Alex, and I think that, you know, and I'm not denying your experience, just like you couldn't deny mine because you haven't lived my life and I haven't lived yours. But the thing that does sometimes concern me is that why we always start from the angle that somebody is always cheating on somebody else. See, I think that the person, sometimes we got to look at, are we projecting that from our own experience and from our own behavior in the past?
Yeah,
absolutely. That's what I think, because
that's
again,
a very good observation.
Running around trying to cheat like that after we get past, let's say 35, 40. And not saying there aren't cheaters that are of those ages, but people that are in healthy relationships, they're not just running around looking to throw away they love. Because if you loved and been in love and been hurt and blah, 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 and gotten to 40, okay, now you find somebody that's a decent person and a good fit for you. Are you really trying to throw that away like that?
Well, when we do a show about faithful people, then we can do that. But right now we're discussing the people.
Well, no, we're discussing your reality and truth and my reality and truth. And I'm telling you that my reality and truth says that everybody's not running around hoeing like that. That's what I'm saying.
And I know that as well. But I've also seen a lot of people running around hoeing and doing those kind of things as well. That's a reality. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go on. I'm sorry.
This is a reality that people have a hard time swallowing. It's not that it doesn't happens all the time. And it's happened to us on this panel and probably the women and men in the chat. Okay. So, but when you get mature and old enough to know the differences, as my sister Bree said, I've done a lot of work. I've seen a lot. Maybe I've seen too much. Okay. But the person the person that was 25 and the person now that's above 50 is totally different person. Because when she said, I didn't like women, that came from the fact that when I was a kid, girls didn't like me. They teased me. They talked bad about me. They did all kind of things to me, evil, nasty things to me. Okay. Wow. Girls in the neighborhood, girls in the school, all this kind of stuff. So as I started to blossom and get attractive and wear nicer clothes and get my hair cut on a regular basis and start going to the gym and stuff,
started coming up in life.
Here the women came, and my response to that was, "Y'all going to get it now," and that was my response.
Oh my God!
It was time for revenge, and this what Bree saw.
That's what I saw. I'm traumatized.
She saw
well, you know what? I talked to Alex quite extensively, and we go back and forth because, like I said, his reality and how he came up is so different from how I came up and the reality that I grew up in. Okay, but I do understand. Because it's not like, you know, my heart has never been broken. I do understand. I wasn't that person that, you know, my family, I was the only child, so I had a lot of things that maybe other children did not have. When it came to holidays and going to church, I was the cleanest child in church of my age bracket. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm talking about my mom. When she walked in Saks Fifth Avenue with me, the people behind the counters knew her by name. My dad had a Saks Fifth Avenue charge card as a black man in the 60s and 70s. A lot of black people couldn't even get a Saks Fifth Avenue charge card.
They couldn't even walk into Saks Fifth Avenue.
Right. But my mom, you know, we just regular little brown skinned people, black people walking in there, but they knew my mom by name. But my father carried himself well. My father worked hard. He had a good job. He had a decent job. And then on top of that, he worked another job. My cousin was just talking to me the other day, and I was really getting kind of like secondhand resentment from my own cousin. Cause like when my dad married my mom, right, it took away from the family. Apparently, you know how sometimes when you're the one that does better in your family and now everybody's kind of got their hands out, sister, brothers and nieces and nephews. And so when my dad married my mom and they had me, it kind of took some money out some people's pocket back then. And I always kind of felt there was like a jealousy or there was something going on. And I didn't understand it till much later. And even to the other day when my cousin was telling me this. But anyway, I said all that to say that I had what I wanted growing up. I had what I needed. And so like even my former spouse, when we talk about, like, he used to kind of talk to me and say certain things that I knew this and I knew that as a black person. And I would say, no, I never knew that. I never experienced that. He was like, well, yes, you did, because you black. And I'm like, baby, do you understand that there are different types of Black people out here? I never
Right.
went through that. We had a house. We had whatever we needed. My dad made sure my mom had. My mom didn't have to work when I was growing up. But she did. She did because she wanted to, but it was a choice that she made because my dad was fully willing as a Black man to set her up in the house and let her sit up and take care of the house and be a homemaker. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
And a lot of Black women say, well, I never saw that because my mom and dad both had to work, but that's not my experience. But I'm
Right.
But
not
you know what
saying
I
that
want
the
to,
Black or both. But what I'm saying, what I really want to point out, and I want to get to because I'm getting around the point, I'm going around. But what I want to say is I grew up in a loving community where people were married and they had happy marriages and marriage was promoted. But what I see nowadays is our Black community has gotten away from marriage, has gotten away from love. And basically we're into a community now where it's really just about sex as far as what I can see in a lot of
well,
cases. And that's sad because sex ain't really it.
no, that it's not really it. What is two things I want to say. One, you made a very good point about traditional, your traditional experience growing up. But we do have to bear in mind that everyone's experience, especially in the Black community, is not a traditional one. And unfortunately, the reason why these millennials run around the way they're running around, because they're not being guided by our generation as knowing what we know. See, we're the generation that our families got broken up in the 60s and 70s because of a lot of dynamics, the racism, um
Yes.
and
Drugs,
how
drug,
and drugs and
drugs
the
being pumped
war
into our
and
community.
all that
And,
stuff, and how it trickled down into
right.
our communities.
Mm-hmm.
So all of our experiences were not the same. Also, another
Absolutely.
thing I think is an important point to make, how you made the point that are we looking at all our relationships from a perspective that people automatically cheat? The point that Alex made about, and I'm gonna sum it up in this statement: if you not having sex with your man is eventually gonna stray. I would like to think that I would really like to believe that all men, just because they are facing some types of challenges in their relationship with their woman, that it's not their first mode of action, that
Right.
they're gonna cheat, or that they're actively gonna seek out physical relations with somebody else. I would really like to believe
Well,
that all men are
yeah.
not built like that.
And let me say this, okay? I agree with what you guys are saying, and it's all about, again, communication. But a lot of women, not all, of course, because I don't want to put everybody in the box. But a
Please
lot
don't.
of women, and I speak to a lot of men about this, okay? You guys a lot of times expect for us to read your mind, or depending on what you're feeling, and we'll come in and you're not the same, or you're not in a good mood. We go, what's the matter, babe? Nothing. But you said nothing. So don't get on me later about I didn't inquire, I didn't push enough to find out what's wrong with you. You're a big grown woman. Don't
Can you
tell me
please speak
nothing.
to can you please speak to the not the norm, but the exception? What about the
Thank you.
cases? What about the cases? You're welcome, sis. What about the cases when
I need some
a
men up here.
woman will
I'm trying to
ex-
get them up here. I'm getting ready to drop the link, guys, in case you're listening. Jared,
listening?
we haven't heard from, not to cut you off, but Jared,
Yeah,
why don't you come up, Jared? We haven't had you up here yet. Okay, I'm getting ready to drop the link. Go ahead.
why don't we speak of the cases when a woman has allowed herself to be additionally vulnerable, and to be transparent, and to explain what her challenges are with being intimate, what's holding her back? Could it be financial stresses? Could it be just family stresses? Could it be, because I'm gonna tell you something, be it having been married before and been engaged before and had to deal with people and they family. When you're dealing with the family dynamic, that's a hard thing, because now you're going up against biology. When you're dealing with finances, worrying about how stuff is going to be held down in case of an emergency or whatever, that's a real reality. How can anybody relax enough to even say, okay, come on, let's do this because I'm going to have a release? You can't even get yourself relaxed enough to even want to have sex because you're worrying about what's not being taken care of. So let's talk about the exception and not always what seems to be the rule. We cannot talk about one without the other.
Okay. Do you guys know who Judge Lynn Toller is? She used to do divorce court. Okay. And she did it for a lot of years after Maybelline Ephraim. And I really love Judge Toller. She used to give a lot of great insight on her show. And she's been married for years, 30 plus years or something like that. She's been with her spouse, maybe even 40 years. And
I don't think 40. Well, she could be, because she could be 60 something.
Yeah, she
I
could
don't
be
know.
60 something. Yeah, she's getting up there.
I think it's more like 30 though, because she got married later in life. I read her book.
But she said there was a stretch in her marriage, maybe 2-3 years. They didn't even like each other. Okay. And she's very candid about this. They didn't even like each other. And she said, you know, her husband, he's a very laid back, kind of mild mannered guy, you know. And she said he would come home at times and she would be in the house, you know, with the children all day, and she'd be frustrated and she's slamming stuff, just slamming doors, cabinets, just slamming stuff. And he coming, he playing with the kids and laughing and joking. And the more he did that, the more angry she would get. He think everything is a joke, and bang, 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 slamming stuff, right? So he would go, "You all right, babe? Yes, I'm fine. I don't have any bread in here. I don't have any milk in here." He said, "You need bread or milk? Okay, I'll go get it. What else you need?" And she started to learn over time, if you want something, ask for it. Nobody has to be a psychic out here to try to predict, because you're in a bad mood or you're hormonal or whatever the case is. I can't read your mind like that. That's the part I'm talking about with women.
We're talking about the rule and not the exception. I want you to give me an example of when a woman has clearly and without emoting, has explained to her spouse or her partner that she just ain't feeling it for whatever reason. She comes to the person about, and tell me how effective.
As long as you acknowledge what I just explained happens, okay? In
many
relationships.
I'm gonna be the woman that says to you and to our audience that it does happen. I've been that woman. I've been that person, because again, it takes a level of maturity, and we're all maturing at different rates. Because somebody is 25 doesn't mean they're less mature than somebody 35. That actually, maturation actually happens on an individual level, Alex. And I've been that person, but it does. You're right. It does take communication. But I want to say this: we got Jeremy on the panel now live. We've got Jay Wiley. Jay Wiley, can you tell us a little bit about what love is? Because that's what this topic and this conversation is supposed to be about. And as somebody that is happily married, can you talk to us about what love is?
Well, it's good to finally talk to all of you. I think what love is, and this is something that has been mentioned before, is good communication between two individuals where they both know each other's strengths and weaknesses. You can't go into a relationship without honesty, communication, and just knowing like who you are. Building a relationship off of friendship, which develops to love, to then have a committed type relationship. And so that's kind of like what I've always wanted to do. And it's something I saw with my parents, and they saw with their grandparents and generations, where it's really important to really know your partner. Now, obviously, there's going to be a number of different things that may happen that kind of changes that dynamics. But if you start with honesty and communication from the outset, that can really go like a long way. So then when you have troubles and any types of challenges, it can really help you during the difficult times.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Remember earlier I said that I was going to hold my definition of love, and here it is. In order to be a recipient of love, you have to be an instrument of love.
Amen.
Okay? You cannot expect to be a recipient of everything that love entails when you're not generating it and manifesting it in your own life and with people and with everything that you do. You have to have a genuine caring for people. That's what civilization was supposed to be developed on. Having some self-control, being able to take social cues,
Yes.
knowing what to say and what not to say and how to behave and how not to behave. You know, um, love is something that we're all entitled to because we were designed by the creator in love. But liking everybody, not so much. And you can learn to love someone if it's all built from a place of respect. When you coming from that place and you put that person's cares and everything this person is important to you, and you're going to make sure that they okay, and you're going to make sure that you don't do anything to offend them or disrespect them, you know that that's real love.
Mm-hmm.
That's love.
And
Constantly putting someone else first.
And you know what, Bree? And I want to thank Jay Wadley and for being on for the first time. He's always in the chat. I want to thank him for coming on. And Jeremy Speaks is in the house. So we're
Yeah,
gonna
I
we're
want
gonna
to
get
give them a
yeah,
chance to speak on.
yeah, but it's
Go
something I
ahead.
want to say before we have Jeremy speak, because
Yes.
Bree brought up a point. Sabrina brought up a point that said, "What about the exceptions to the rules, and what about the women who do communicate it?" Now, as you guys know, I've been married twice. Sabrina knew Stoney very well. God rest her soul. She's no longer here. Sabrina knew
Right.
Stoney very well, and Stoney was the type of woman when she was having a bad day. She would come in miserable, but she would tell me, she would say, "Babe, this day has been a day from hell. It's not you. Give me some time. I'm going upstairs into the room. Give me some time." Now, you can't ask for no more than that. You cannot ask for nothing better than that. Now, all I would say is, okay, babe, take all the time you need. When you're ready to talk, I'm down here. I'm downstairs or whatever. That's what Sabrina's talking about. What I'm saying is far too many women, not generalizing, but probably more than not, will just have a bad attitude, will just be upset. And when the guy asks her, the husband asks, "Babe, you okay?" "Yes, I'm fine." Is anything wrong?" "No, nothing's wrong." And they go through this all day until their feelings catch up with their body. And then maybe a day or two later, "You know what was bothering me? Let me tell you what was bothering me." Like 2 days later. So this is what happens far too often. But if Jeremy has something to say, you women want to rebut, you can do that.
Go ahead, Jeremy. You were having a debate in the chat. I think about what women do when they go out of the country.
Yeah.
No, not just that. It was like the whole old school versus new school thing. Like in
Old
my
school
opinion,
versus new
and
school.
that's like I'm saying, like you guys were saying, like the old school people, the young people aren't going to the old school people, for advice. But I'm saying that a lot of times, like in Miss Aubrey's her experience of the Black family is one that is very rare, even in
Mhm,
two-parent households. I
mhm.
just want to be clear about that. My great grandmother and great grandfather died, and they were still married to each other. But my grandmother her sisters and her brothers were all messed up in all different types of ways. You know, a lot of times I feel that when it comes to the older generation, they like to make it seem that their generation didn't also have a lot of issues like infidelity, like, you know, like people having outside kids, like the daddy having two families living down the street from each other, like the fact that Martell Holt was not going to the older generation, i.e. the grandfathers and great grandfathers, to learn how to cheat better on his wife like they were doing back in the day. Like, I think that is quite, you know, irresponsible to just say, you know, that the young people are not, you know, are not doing all of these things. Because in my opinion, despite what's happening in the world, like, I do feel like a lot of the young people that are my age, you know, are getting married now and are like getting into relationships now. The ones who are in their late 30s, 40s, they're the ones who are having the issues. Like, but if you look at the statistics, like the black like population that's getting married, men and women, I'm meaning, they're young. They're my age. Like, it's
How
been
old are you?
I'm 27.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have to tell people, because like Sabrina hasn't been here for a while, so she doesn't know you as well as some of our other viewers.
Yeah, so
Right.
like it's been articles on it. The restructure of the black family, you know, the rebuilding of the black household. You know, it's all started with us, and like it goes as far as like education goes. Like, we no longer have, a lot of us don't have to depend on welfare and have the man outside of the home anymore. Like back in the day when women were like, you know, birthing like 5 to 10 kids, you know, with their husband, and they weren't able to sustain that lifestyle without assistance. You know, it's so many different, you know, it's so many different types of, you know, nuances that are happening in this new generation that I don't think
That's
I don't
true.
think that we
And
get
Jeremy,
a lot of
and Jeremy, what you're saying is wonderful. And I read off a statistic last time we were on the air, I think maybe a couple of episodes back. And there's one out there that said between 1890 and 1960, black marriages and families were at 80%. And since then, it has greatly diminished to 20%, 10%. And the question is always why. Now, if there's a new resurgence that's going on with Jeremy's generation or whatever, you know, I applaud that. But the question is always going to be, will these situations last? Because you guys, in my opinion, Jeremy, today, I mean, it's always been hard to be married. You know, we dealt with segregation and a lot more intense racism and different laws and all that when back in the day with our parents and grandparents. But today, with the advent of technology, social media, you know, everybody taking pictures, selfies, all this kind of stuff, it's really hard to maintain a successful relationship for the long haul. There are
Because your
a lot of
attention
challenges.
span is stretched all over the place.
Right.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I wanna guys, we're over an hour. This has been a great discussion. The people on the panel, to Jeremy Speaks, to Jay Wadley, to Sabrina Hassan, would you guys be willing to come back for a part 2 in a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks?
Absolutely.
Yes, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. And Jeremy?
Yeah, I would love to.
Oh, okay, I could barely hear you. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna let you guys down, and Alex and I are gonna finish up this just the two of us. Okay, so I'm gonna let you down one by one.
Thank you for having us. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Oh, so I guess he removed himself from the stream. Okay, bye.
All righty. And you know what, Aubrey, before we go too, I wanna extend my heart and condolences, because I'm looking in the chat and I see Mocha Mima says that she lost a daughter in 2015.
Yeah.
And I want to extend my heart and condolences from both of us to her.
And that would be too, because I was already talking to her as we were talking. I was talking to her about what I wanted to do for her personally. But go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. I just wanted to make that clear that we weren't overlooking that.
Right. I wasn't, but I guess if she had it in the chat, and Mocha, we're kind of assuming that since you had put it in the chat that it's okay that we mention it here on the air, and we pray that that's okay, right? That our condolences are with you, especially coming up this Sunday for Mother's Day. That's that's just more than a heart could take. So I know that someone is sustaining you through all of this, and I'm just thankful for that you're here. Okay.
Right. Yes,
right.
absolutely.
So, but to conclude,
this has been great. This has been great.
I'm sorry.
This has been great. This has been great, Aubrey. I just loved it, every second of it.
It has been a great discussion, but what I wanted to conclude on, because I think Bree kind of hit it to something that you sometimes do, and that I sometimes do, and that we as people sometimes do, is go to the exception or what's not good. But what I want to conclude on a positive note is what love actually is, so that can be something to fortify maybe somebody here today that's listening right now, somebody that may come and catch us on the replay. I'm always trying to direct and guide. My vision for my channel here is that we have something positive to add to the world, because and we can point out, statistics, we can point out what's going wrong, but at the same time, I think that it's okay. It's more than okay to give a nod to what's right in the world. So.
And I want to tell you what my definition of love is before we go. It's
absolutely.
It's four
Please
words.
tell me.
Commitment, communication.
All right.
Loyalty. And respect is huge. Okay, because if you respect the person that you're with, really respect them, you do not want to hurt them, and you do not want to see them hurting. Okay, and you will not bring them hurt if you truly respect them. Okay, so that's why those four things are crucial: communication, loyalty, respect, and I forgot the other one. I just had it on the tip of my tongue, but I already said it. Okay, so very important things to me. That's what love truly is to me, and strong, healthy relationship is to me.
Keep going.
Yeah. Oh, you in the chat.
Yeah, you know what that means. Keep going. Don't act like you're brand new. Keep going.
You in the chat. But I think without those things, you really don't stand a chance. Because you notice I didn't mention anything about sex, because if you have those things, sex is imminent. That's not going to be an issue if you have those other things. Okay, if you can speak to them uninhibited.
Ooh.
You ever had to speak to your spouse or partner, and you come and go, I need to talk to you about something, and they start sighing like, oh boy.
Yeah. Well, usually that's the worst thing you can ever say to a man, is you never want to say to a man. I learned that early in life. Okay, in my like 20 or 21, when I fell in love with this guy that was older than me and more mature. You never say, we need to have a talk, or I need to talk. You just start talking.
Right.
Or a good thing for men is, I noticed that a lot of men, if you say, let's go for a walk, and you go for a walk, because men work their action figures. Men like to do things, and if you're doing something and then talking, it kind of goes hand in hand. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But no, if somebody's sighing and I want to talk to them, and they're supposed to be my significant other, if there's somebody, just somebody not even a close friend, then they just say, I know I talk a lot. But if there's somebody that loves me, they wouldn't do that. They shouldn't be doing that.
Because when that happens, right away a man is thinking, oh boy, what did I do now?
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. But I want to go back. I had this up here, and then I was kind of trying to move along as we get ready to close out. Mocha Mima had a great point, because she also said, don't forget acceptance, Alex. You were saying your list of things of love. Right. Acceptance, that is so important. And you know what I'm learning, Mocha, right now, even in my 50s, we're always learning. We're constantly learning. Every day that we're here, we're learning something. I'm learning that acceptance is so important for me, not just for the love I give to my family and friends, but I'm also learning. I've been going through this real journey since COVID, since, the pandemic, the pandemonium, whatever we're supposed to say on YouTube, because we're not supposed to talk about that too much. But anyway, I've been learning these last 2 years about self-acceptance. That's something that I've been giving to my loved ones, but I hadn't really fully given to myself. So I'm learning to really, really, really buckle down and learn to accept myself, flaws and all, because I'm still a good person and I'm still worthy of love.
And that's definitely a journey. Coming to a point of self-acceptance is very difficult because we know we're flawed, but we have to say, you know what? Flaws and all, I'm perfect for me. I accept me. You know, and if someone is to accept you, they got to accept those flaws as well, because they have to understand that they are also flawed. You know, and I'll say this: Bob Marley had a very interesting quote. The great Bob Marley.
What's that?
And
all I keep thinking is Puff Puff. Go ahead.
No, it's not Puff Puff. He said, "Everybody's going to hurt you. You just have to find the one worth hurting for." Okay, so, and that means the one that you find that's worth hurting for is the one you're going to put the work in, because you sincerely love them from the depth of your being, and you're going to put that work in. That's basically what he's saying. So,
okay.
Yeah. So, you know, this is a complicated thing, but human beings are very complicated beings. You know, and can you imagine, Aubrey? Think about this. You talked about your background, how beautiful it was, and the images you seen. Okay, my background is the total opposite. Okay, other people's backgrounds are different and so forth. Can you imagine? Yeah. Can you imagine two people from totally separate ends of the spectrum coming together to try to build a life and family with the morals that they grew up with? Totally different. That's hard.
And that messes people up, because I think like the spouse that just always said, you know, that we're black people, and come on, he really thought for a long time. I think for many years he thought that I was putting on, you know, the dog, or however that expression goes. Yeah. He really had no concept, not having known me as a child and my family. He really had no concept of how comfortable my life was growing up, how sheltered my life was growing up. So, you know, we really came from it. Like a lot of people, you know, would say, I won't date outside my race. I won't date outside and fill in the blank, right? But oftentimes, I think race is the least factor in someone having the same values as you, having that same understanding, or like you said, or even having the background that you had, you know? So, while some people that we would say are counterparts, on one hand, if their background was similar to mine in terms of faith, in terms of intact family, in terms of the values that my family of origin gave me, and what we're practicing now, you might be more comparable or compatible, the word I'm looking for, more compatible with the person outside your race. Because honestly, if you don't grow up with the same values and you don't currently have the same values, just the fact that our color of our skin is the same, that's not enough for me to love somebody, to be intimate with, and want to spend the rest of my life with. That's just not enough.
Yes, because you have your faith, and you're very strong in your faith, Aubrey. So that's like you know, meeting or dating someone who's an atheist or agnostic.
Oh, never.
Agnostic. You know,
we had this conversation early on, and so, you know, that's a whole nother. I'm not going to, you know, put your business out there, but no, I could never.
Right.
I could never. All I could do is, if I met a man that I liked, all I could do is pray for him, because I know if he continues to say to me, I don't believe in God, or I'm angry with God, all I could do is just walk away from that, because I could not live my life with someone who is not a faith believer. I could not.
What you mean you're not gonna put my business out there? Don't give these people the impression that I'm an atheist.
No. You're not. No, Alex is absolutely not an atheist. But, you know, at the beginning of our journey, you know, we had some things that we had to work out. But no, Alex is who he is. I'll let you tell your business, is what I'm saying. But,
okay. But what I'm saying is that, you know, even other belief systems, you know, like you're Christian and you're dating a Muslim, or
not going to happen for me. Not going to happen. Yeah, so, you're right, and that's a very good point. So somebody that believes in God, or Allah, or whatever name we might call them, and I respect. Listen, I respect other people's faith, but there's some things that's just not going. They're not going to wash with me. They're just not going to go. And that's just me. That doesn't mean I don't love people. I've got friends of all different I've got a friend, very good friend of mine, who is an atheist. And then, the other thing that I say, I think is even more, I don't know which, between the atheist and the agnostic, I don't know which is, I'm confused by these people, and their titles, but they tell me they're agnostic, whatever,
Yeah, but let me tell you,
God.
let me tell you the difference real quick.
No. I know what the difference is. Intellectually, I know what the difference is, but I guess what my point is, as a person of faith, neither one makes any sense to me.
Oh,
and what
I
was saying was, they're both a load of to me. But
I mean,
you can still be my friend. You can still be my friend. You can be my family member. But what you're not gonna be my significant other. That's just not gonna work. That does not go. Light and dark does not go together. That's my feeling about that.
That's a load of sugar, honey, iced tea.
It's not gonna go. It's not gonna, not with me. Now, you know what I'm saying? Because I love God above all things and all people. I love God. God is first on my list, and then maybe one day a significant other, he would be underneath God. But a man that does not serve God and believe in God and serve him, he cannot be the man that I submit my life to, because he doesn't serve God. So that's a whole other understanding and a whole nother conversation right there. But, you get what I'm saying.
I got you. Absolutely. Yep. So you wanna thank everyone and see us out. Listen.
Well, you know what? Before I do that, you do a good job with what you always say toward the end, and then I'm going to do that part. Oh, and I got to throw your video link up. Oh gosh, where is that at? Oh Lord. Well, go ahead and do your thing, because it seems like it always works well when you do it. You know what you always say.
But I want to thank everyone for being here. Please hit the like button if you haven't already done that. That helps with the algorithms, and that generates, more traffic, to the channel. Also, actually, Aubrey, Cash App her. She loves coffee. She was sipping coffee this entire podcast, so she loves coffee. So
don't let my doctor hear you saying that.
Yeah, I know, right? You're a bad girl. So send her a Cash App at ActuallyAubery on Cash App. And also, too, share the video, friends, family, and urge them to subscribe. Urge them to subscribe as we march on and get these numbers higher, so we can get our messages and podcasts out to a larger group of people.
Yes, what he said, guys, what he said. But I want to thank you. So our new subscribers, because I feel like there's some new ones here today watching this, or they're going to be watching on the replay crew. Be sure to leave a comment, guys. If you're leaving out tonight, be sure to come back and leave a comment on the video and tell people how much you enjoyed it, or recommend a friend, share it out. We're trying to get to that, 1,000 plus, as so important in YouTube land for whatever, for those reasons of monetization. We've already got our hours in. I mean, like, if I could sell some hours, guys, but oops, YouTube, you didn't hear that, did you? Okay. but please hit the like button on your way out as we say goodbye. I want to thank again our special guest, Jay Wadley, Sabrina Hassan, Sister Sabrina Hassan, and Jeremy Speaks, who also joins us for Put a Ring on It, and also for Ready to Love. He'll be back on Friday, guys. Check out his channel also. That's Jeremy Speaks here on YouTube. He's a powerful speaker. He will have you laughing. He'll have you crying. He's just so he has so much good stuff to say. I can't believe that this young gentleman is still in his 20s, because he has wisdom beyond his years. So, guys, on that note, I want to thank you for being here. I'm ActuallyAubery, and he's
Alex W. Leath.
Yep, and we're on our way out. Bye.